Welcome to Tiger Talk, your source for information about your hometown and surrounding area. Tiger Talk is brought to you by...
And Tiger Talk brought to you by Whistle Stop Donuts, Stream Beans Coffee House, and Miss McLovett's Cupcakes on Lower Main in Princeton. Hancock's Neighborhood Market, Commerce Street in Katie's, delicious homemade goodness, and Perry's Floors and More.
Make the morning great with a stop at Whistle Stop Donuts on West Main Street in Princeton. Whistle Stop makes their donuts fresh daily, and they're ready on your way to work or school. They have a wide variety of fresh donuts, so you can surprise the office with a dozen delicious donuts. And remember, after 11 a.m., donuts are only $5 per dozen through August 8th. Stop by Whistle Stop today and enjoy a donut or a dozen. They're open 5 a.m. to noon, Monday through Saturday. Whistle Stop Donuts on West Main in Princeton.
All right, and at 8:31, welcome to Tiger Talk with Ty and Bright, and have the pleasure of welcoming into the WPKY studios this morning artiste extraordinaire, Richie Mckinney. How are you, sir?
Good, Ty. How are you?
I'm wonderful.
Good.
And it's so nice to have you here today.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming in. I saw something pop up yesterday on Facebook, and it just went boom. I need to have him in here, and I appreciate I called you right up. You responded, and we got you in here. And what a pleasure it is. And I know a lot of folks drive around this town and see your handiwork, and it's beautiful. And
Thank you.
We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But here lately, what I saw yesterday is a little bit of dress work and upkeep on something that you did a long time ago.
Right.
And why don't you tell us about what you've been up to these days and from a pretty good height, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I do have some knee problems, so I can't do the ladders and scaffoldings like I used to as a young man. But the Board of Education, they were great at supplying everything I needed to get this job done, because it was something I was not all that excited about as far as my health was concerned, but as far as my passion to do it for the school, it's still there. I won't ever lose that.
And what we are talking about, of course, is a facelift on, and what you dub Freddie. We'll get into that. And that's out at Caldwell County High School on the side of the cab building, and that is the beautiful Tiger that's up on the side. Freddie, tell us about Freddie.
Well, actually, the first Freddie I painted was at the high school gym. I went to Butler.
That's right.
When the high school was there before the new facility was built. And that's where I guess I could call it my career as an artist began. When I used to do banners for the cheerleaders, for the homecoming games. There was always signs to paint. The agriculture building always needed a sign over there. And so I got a lot of work even while I was yet in school. Doing sign work, I didn't think I was any good at it, but they did, and they thought it was good enough. So I started there in school, and well, thank God I had some good teachers that recognized things about me that I took for granted. I think
Kind of brought it out of you, didn't it?
Yes, and I think that's the thing about a teacher. If you have teachers in school that really observe you, and they see what you're capable of, what you're strong at, and they go in there and yank it out of you and show it to you. That's about what they got to do. But that's what's going to make a good student, and that's what's going to give a student a hope for the future. That kind of confidence and encouragement. It's inspirational for somebody to honestly say, and they say it from the heart, you're good at that.
Yeah, it's
and everybody needs to hear that, Ty. Everybody needs that kind of encouragement, and I think that's what high school was about for me.
No doubt.
Finding my way.
No doubt about it. So basically, if the band or FFA, agriculture, football, sports teams needed a sign, you were their sign guy.
I was their guy, and they kept me busy.
Wow. Well, we're going to go back and we're going to visit some of this stuff. Let's talk about what you've been doing here with Freddie out at the high school lately. Now, 30 years ago, was that about right?
Yeah, about 30 years ago when Dennis Cox called me about that.
That's when you first, I guess, he put him up there.
Yeah, right after the gym was built.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but Freddie was actually born at the first gym we had.
Right, there was
on the big wall
yes.
there. That was back when Joe Clark was around and still around. I think he was no longer a teacher. I believe he was either superintendent
maybe,
there for a while, and moved on up in the ranks. But
so you did that one down there.
Yeah, thanks to Joe Clark. He's the guy behind it all, really.
Well, let's talk about that since you mentioned Mr. Clark, and he was superintendent. I graduated high school with his son, Chris.
Right.
And fine gentleman.
Will.
Pardon?
Was it Will?
No, Chris
Oh,
Clark.
Chris.
Yeah, Chris and Will and I
We're talking about Joe, not Bill Brown.
We're talking about Joe, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we're talking about Joe first.
Sorry about that.
And you said he started it all. And tell us a little bit about Mr. Clark and what he meant to your art.
Joe Clark came as an assistant coach. I think it may have been baseball, because in college he had played fast pitch softball, and he was a pitcher. And I guarantee you he could throw an underhand softball as fast as anybody could throw an overhand baseball.
Wow.
I've never seen anything like it. It would pop a mitt. But he came there for that purpose, but most teachers at that time, they had to take a secondary type job in the school to keep working all the time. So Joe became our first art instructor because he had penmanship in college and he could do Old English and everything with the pens.
Okay.
So he was going to teach that, and my brother took it under him, Mike, who was a year ahead of me, or 2 years ahead of me. I can't remember now. But Mike learned penmanship, and I wanted to learn how to do it, and so we both got a chance to do some lettering in our first yearbooks, our alma mater and stuff like that, and pen work like Joe did. And so the art thing, the pictorial end of it, was recognized by Joe. So he thought, I know what he was doing. He was setting me up to be a sign painter. And I didn't know it. He didn't say that.
So that
he didn't say anything.
That's that teacher you're talking about.
That's right, Joe Clark. And the first lettering job that I had was the bleachers in football stadium at Butler. And Joe reasoned, and he reasoned well, that if I numbered all of the new seats, reserved seats, on the far side of the football stadium, I would go probably, I don't know if it was 200 or 300. Now, you think about how many digits that is and how many times I'm going to be going 1, 2, 3.
Wow, yeah.
ABC. So I spent about 2 months before football season lettering. I guess it was when school first started. And I lettered all of those bleachers, and by the time I got done, I was pretty doggone sharp already. One job. But what he did was
brilliant, wasn't it?
He connected my lettering and my art together as a unit. And that just, like I told you earlier, gave it double power.
Right.
And really gave me an edge as a sign painter, because a lot could only letter. They couldn't do the pictures. Well, I could, so I got a lot of jobs they didn't.
When did it hit you that, hey, I'm kind of good at this?
I've got a way to make a living.
That's
what Joe was trying to tell me.
When did that hit you? I mean,
after I graduated.
Okay.
And I knew that's what I wanted to do. I loved it, and I'd already seen I could get paid more than I was worth for doing it. So there was a building right across the football stadium that was a groom's grocery store at one time where we all used to go play hooky. And, of course, he had died and gone on. He was an old man, but he was really nice and understanding. And I rented that old building out that Miss Joyner was using for storage behind her house. And
This is after school.
Jim Joyner's mom. After I left school,
yes.
and my first sign shop was right across the street.
Wow.
And I had Richie Mckinney sign shop there for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years before I moved to another different location.
You talked about other educators as well that were in how important you felt like, when you came on here and even off the air, to get that recognition, that encouragement.
Yeah.
You named some others as well.
Well, it started in grade school. Of course, I had a lot of teachers, and they all, to some degree, recognized that and kept pointing it out to me. You're good at that. Or draw me a picture of this, or draw me a picture of that. And just making me aware, I think. They knew what they were doing. I didn't. But one teacher that comes to my mind more than anybody else in grade school is Jean Williams.
Okay.
Jean was a historian. She was brilliant. I forget now what she taught. I think it was English at the time when I was in the 3rd grade at Westside. And Jean and her husband owned a big farm between here and Fredonia, and they would take us out for picnics. I got close to her, kind of like I did Joe.
Okay.
And she was kind of like a mother figure to me in a way in the educational system. And she was interested in what I was doing and what I could do. And so Jean would have Hayden Boyd and me do posters sometimes. Funny thing is, I did the daffodils. He did the lettering in the poem The Daffodils. Never forget that on a piece of poster paper. And that's when, now, James Hayden, he went on and became a hotshot salesman. He never did do anything much with it, but he had skill. And it's just a matter of what somebody wants to do with their life, but great guy.
Were you the type of kid that was always kind of the one scribbling on the paper? And
All the time.
Yeah.
Doodling.
and
Not paying attention.
yeah.
No, I mean,
But
really,
I
I was a lousy student.
I
was in dream world all the time.
It was flowing out of you, though, wasn't it? I mean, you just
It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't explain it. I can today because I understand my brain better.
Right.
But I was probably what they would call right brain dominant. It's very difficult for a right brain dominant student to make it in our present system. The way it's set up is for left brain. Language.
Yeah, and you said you studied about
Math.
that, and yeah, it is. It's tough.
But the visual side is your right brain. That's where you do all your imagining and dreaming, and you can use these together in parallel. You can use them separately if you know how. I shut one down, just use the other for extra strength.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing thing. I've been researching that for quite a while. I'm still looking for new things I can find out about it.
It's interesting how it all works, isn't it?
Yeah, and like we talked about before, being able to draw is quintessentially human. Mm-hmm. We can all do it, but it's hard to convince somebody that says, I can't draw stick man.
Yeah.
That they can do a lot better than that, but they need to be instructed. They need to be told how that's working. And by teaching them how their brain works in relation to art and language, then they see it's possible. And the least bit of confidence will spark something. They'll say, maybe I can do that. Because I had taught art beginners drawing type for about 3 years. Started at the Art Guild back several years ago, and then I had a place of my own. But that's what I was teaching. I was teaching brain-based drawing.
Interesting.
And the students that came through there amazed me. It was an experiment on my part because I wanted to see if this really worked, and it really did. But somebody would have to know Sandra Littlejohn to know how well it worked. By the time she left the class, she had about 30 hours, and she was drawing as good as me. It blew me away.
Yeah, that would seem like a neat experiment and an experience to witness. Because
it was awesome.
Princeton has a pretty neat. I mean, there's a lot of artists around here that are underground. I've talked to a lot of people about it, whether they're a musician or
they're everywhere.
Yeah, and that is really neat.
And Princeton is unique that way. It always has been. I mean, some highly skilled people have left out of this town to go for bigger things.
Yeah.
But I loved home. I
Sure.
went to
What's
ran
not to love-
around a
what's
little
not to
bit.
love about
Went to
it?
California once. I wanted to work for Walt Disney.
Yeah.
And never got there. Things got in the way. Good times.
Well, sure, but you had that dream and vision. And
Yeah, I
why?
did, but I don't think I'd have been happy there because being an animating artist is not all that much fun because you might draw Elmer Fudd 1,500. I mean, not Elmer Fudd, but maybe Snow White.
Yeah.
You might draw her 100 times just alike in one day,
Just to make her move her
just a
wand or
little
something,
bit
yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So because everything worked different
Yeah.
then before the digital era
It did.
came along. Now it's really high definition, super amazing.
And all computers.
Wow.
Let's we're going to take a break. We're going to come back. I want to talk about some of the things you've done around town, and
Okay.
we're going to touch on all kinds of other things because always interesting to sit down and talk to you. You've got a lot of great stuff to tell us and to talk about. It's always interesting. So
I've been here a long time, Ty.
I know you have, and but it's nice to sit down with you,
Thank you.
and let folks hear about what you're doing now, where you've been, and you're an interesting guy. So we're going to take a break. We're going to hear from String Beans Coffee House. We're going to take a coffee break and a Miss McLovett's Cupcake break, and be back here on Tiger Talk at 8:45.
String Beans Coffee House in downtown Princeton specializes in made-to-order espresso drinks, hot, over ice, or frozen. They serve lunch Tuesday through Friday from 11 to 2. Like them on Facebook to view their weekly menu. They also rent out the back room for birthday parties, anniversary parties, and baby showers. That's String Beans Coffee House, 108 East Main Street, Princeton. Give them a call, 270-365-0550. Shh! It's Princeton's best-kept secret. Pardon me?
Mrs. McLovett's Cupcakes in downtown Princeton. It's truly the best kept secret in Princeton. Come down and enjoy a delicious homemade cupcake made from scratch and only from the finest ingredients. While downtown, enjoy a sweet treat on the patio in front of our shop. It's a delightful way to spend a moment with a friend or someone you love. Check out Instagram and Facebook for the Mrs. McLovett's Flavor of the Week. Mrs. McLovett's Cupcakes on Lower Main in Princeton, where there's always room for a cupcake. Phone 270-963-2544 to place an order.
And we are back here on Tiger Talk. And thanks for being with us this morning. Have Richie Mckinney in studio with me. And encourage you, if you're just listening, and you can watch us online at WPKYonline.com if you want to. We're streaming live on there right now. And Richie, let's talk about just driving around in Princeton and some of the things. There are murals up on some walls and different kind of things. What are some of the things folks can see, and how did all those come about?
Okay. The murals on the McCaslin building across from the courthouse, they were commissioned by the Princeton Art Guild, Grace Pettit, Ann Kimmel, and I hate to start mentioning names because I'll leave somebody out.
And
There's
that's
so many there that were doing so much, and going as far back as Eloise Jaggers and a lot of different people that were interested in the arts in Princeton, and recognized me and gave me a chance to do a lot of things that other artists didn't want to do. Put it that way.
Right.
But anyway,
We'll
I
get Richie, he'll
painted
do it.
that mural on the building was Rick Lewis and I worked together on that. He was the one that was pretty much in charge of setting it all up for me and getting the materials and everything. Just an awesome guy. And we went to Paducah and bought about, I think it was 10 sheets of, probably about 10 sheets of stainless steel. Heavy, expensive. But they wanted something that would stay.
It's going to last.
And so I started out, I did the murals at the top first, and they were there for several years, and then we came along and did some more at the bottom associated with education in Caldwell County, Big Spring.
Yes. Trail of
golly,
Tears,
they're
maybe, I think. Or is
Yeah,
that,
Trail of Tears.
Yeah, there's
on the top.
On the top, yeah.
And oh wow,
It's so funny because when you drive by them, they're beautiful. But when you live here, you know they're there, but you just kind of take that little snapshot. And if I had to recall detail of it, I can't right at the moment, But every time I drive by, I look at it and go, man, that's great. And then the ones down there on the side of the old warehouse there on South Jefferson, you did those as well.
Yeah, the Cherokee Trail of Tears
It is the
mural
Trail of
about
Tears
Cherokee
commission, yeah.
history and a little bit about that.
And those have been revamped
And,
recently? Were those revamped a little bit?
Yeah, actually, I was working with Linda Morgan, a great supporter,
Yes.
and we were set up an opportunity for me to teach my first art classes down there.
Okay.
At
Her learning center
the
down there?
yeah, I can't think of the name of it. Something
Learning center. Isn't
Yeah,
it? Yeah.
There's something on the top, Ty. I painted the sign up front.
There you go. There we are again.
But anyway,
Brighter future.
After Linda and I worked together there for a little while, we had maybe 10 or 15 students that took the class. It narrowed down. A few of them dropped out, didn't want to do it, so I guess I was mean to them.
No, I'm sure.
But whatever. I remember Libby Griggs. There I go with the names again. We'll have a problem there. But I remember how excited she was because she was the youngest one, but she was getting an opportunity to do some things she really enjoyed, and I believe the girl's got a bright future. She's all grown up now, but to watch these kids. They were just a special group, and we got to paint that mural together. That was the deal. You take these classes, and when you learn how to do this, and we're going to go paint a mural.
Yeah.
Mural on that wall. We had it all set up and ready to go. Already had permission to use it. Linda was going to fund it and take care of all the heavy work, and even help us paint on the mural. So I've got some pictures of her painting, and I think a couple of Libby and some of the other guys. When we dedicated it, they were all there. A Loomis girl, I can't remember her name, but her dad, Richard, actually put those up at no cost.
Wow.
And he was a big contributor to that project. And don't want to forget him. He's passed on now, but he was a super guy, really good guy. And I'm starting to sound like Donald Trump.
No, that's something about this town, though. I think, you said, well, I'm still here. Well, there's a reason you're here, because it seems, everybody that I interview since I've been here, it's always coming back to this community and this town, the giving, everybody pitching in, and that's a special thing.
Well, I think it's safe to say, and I hope I don't sound arrogant saying it, but I'm a product of Princeton, Kentucky. I was made here, and I'm staying here. I love this town.
Nothing to be embarrassed about, I can tell you that.
No, it's a wonderful place. It's a matter of perspective.
There you go. And it's all, my brother and I always talk, and we talk about, musicians and just how well somebody plays or athletic, but we always say it's all relative, right? It's just, based upon, what your satisfaction level is, and
exactly.
Are you a success? Well, heck yeah, you're a success
to some degree.
If you're where you are and doing what you want to do and what you love, you're a success.
Thank you.
I'm doing the same thing.
I feel all right about it.
Well,
and I'm not done yet, Ty.
I can tell that you've been up on a platform 60 feet taking care of old Freddie out here at the high school. And folks, you are completed with that project, correct?
Yeah, it was finished yesterday. I was up in the air about 60 feet on a hydraulic lift and scared. But fortunately, I worked for Long Silo when I was a kid, so I'd been up high before working on those silos, and it didn't bother me that bad as far as the height's concerned. But these hydraulic lifts, when you stop them, they jerk.
Oh, they're little.
And I had my paint thrown off a couple of times and just got it all down the side of the building. They said, don't worry about it. I said, okay.
Were you out there by yourself?
I busted 2 lights on the side. Yeah, that was part of the deal. I didn't want anybody running the lift for me. I probably would have been wiser, but I don't need anybody talking to me when I'm working. I can't do it.
Were your knees wobbling just a little bit? Because I've been on one 20 to 25 feet, and I don't like heights either.
Yeah,
that's about as high as I wanted to go.
It's hard on your legs. I think gravity's got a tendency to pull you down stronger the higher you get.
You might be right about that.
Which is a good thing.
And did you stand the whole time to do?
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to stand to do it.
Yeah. But the lift made the project possible. I couldn't have done it off of scaffolding or any other way. That was the only way I could do it. But as far as
kudos to the Board of Education.
Yeah, Will Brown.
There's a good guy.
Brought the people, the new super, to his attention. Yeah. Great guy. I met him the other day.
Mr.
McCarty, and they all together commissioned me to do this. And then there's the guy that set everything up and ordered all the stuff, Sam Hawk.
Yes.
He's great to work with, really nice guy. And so everything, you know that nothing ever goes right or perfect, but with all the hassle and everything, I really enjoy this. I feel inspired again. I really want to light up and do something.
Well, let's talk about that you say that you're inspired. Tell folks about what you do, what's available. If they need your services, go ahead and toot your horn here a little bit about about helping yourself here.
Well, I had first of all realized that retirement is a farce and there's no such thing because I've never been tired the first time. But right now, I'm limited physically, so I have to do what I can do with my hands, mostly sitting down. I can stand up some if I sit down a while. I just kind of have to work with my body. I'm 71, and it don't like me no more. But it's still there, and I'm not taking anything I got left for granted. I really am not. And so I plan on painting till I die. I don't want to stop.
Why not?
I'd just soon die with paintbrush in my hand.
There you go. Well, why not?
But
So
I don't want to leave this out, Ty. Ronnie Sybils led me to the Lord in 1936, and at the time I was at the bottom end of my life, and I accepted Christ as Lord and Savior of my life with His guidance. And from that day on, I've never been without confidence that I could do whatever I needed to do. Confidence is something I do have. I'm not afraid of anything, I don't guess. And that's probably not wise, but I'm not. I don't fear anything because I live by faith. And I always feel that as long as I include the Lord in everything I do, I try my best to follow His guidance, not expecting perfection, but He deserves excellence if He can get it.
If he can get it, sure.
But the main thing is where I'm going when I leave this world, and I want to be with Him. I want to be with the ones that have gone on before me that He takes as well, and I believe that I'm all right there. So that makes me feel better in this life because I know that every ounce of it matters to me, Ty, because I've only got so much of this. I'll be in heaven for eternity.
Right.
I won't worry about time, but down here I will. But the problems come, we all got them, we deal with them, and we keep on trucking. And I can't leave my wife out. I'm married to the greatest girl in the world.
That's Smith Edith, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I just about come to tears.
That's all right. That's what it's all about. We can cry on this show. Heck, I might cry with you.
But she's made a big difference, and she's been with me the whole way. And
that's special.
Together, we've built this up. It's just as much hers as it is me.
Yeah.
And I've got talented kids. I don't know what they want to do with it, but my oldest son, Richie, can really draw well.
Yeah.
But he's dealing with some issues that can sort of keep him away from the canvas, and good portrait artist. He can get better if he'll listen to me.
Yeah.
But no, he's like me. He wants to learn on his own. And my little granddaughter, Marla Gale, Richie's little girl, amazing artist. She's going to be great. She's going to make old granddad proud.
Isn't it neat how it passes on? We were talking about genetics and
she's just a natural at this. Yeah. And Harper, he's still too young to tell what he's going to do yet, but he's probably going to be an athlete. And I'm sure Marla Gale will be. She's already playing soccer and everything. So
and you've got
real active.
This wonderful, lasting legacy. There you go. When you talk about when you're not here, they're continuing it on.
That is another thing that makes me feel good about doing what I do because people usually don't throw it away, you know, like they would a lot of things, like furniture or something like that, or money.
It keeps on going, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking, what would it be like, you know, if my great-great-great-grandkids look at this picture and say, my great-great-great-granddaddy did that. And everybody going, oh, he didn't either. You're lying. but no, that's a huge part of it, too.
Sure it is.
You leave something behind that, well, it's perishable as well, but it's just harder to discard.
Yeah.
For
you can tell though it's
hard reason.
You can tell though your art it's flowing from here. I mean, yeah, it's a brain thing, but it's coming from your heart and your soul.
It's two.
Yeah.
It has to do with feelings.
It's emotional, isn't it?
Yeah, and we always point here as if this was the seat of emotions, and I think the symptoms of our come out here for some reason or another. My heart can get heavy when I'm feeling a certain way. It can get light when I'm feeling another way, but it's really all up here.
It's in the head, yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
But the emotional aspect of it is a big deal too, because I've never been diagnosed as ADD, but I know I am. But I don't think it's a malfunction. I don't see it that way. I see it as the way I was designed. And I'm not a freak. And anybody that's got ADD might not pay attention a lot, but that don't mean that they don't have it going on up here.
No doubt about
all.
it. No doubt about
and
it.
If a teacher like Joe Clark comes along and can just ignore that, ignore my behavior, and he did. I didn't behave all that well, but he didn't judge me at all, and I think that's what I liked about him. He never passed judgment.
Yeah. So important.
You don't have to tell a person they're screwed up, Ty. We all know that, and there's no exceptions.
No, you've got that right. You definitely have that right. What a neat story that you have, and I know. As I always say, you're a true artist. You can paint, you can draw, you can do the lettering, you play music.
Yeah,
it's flowing through. You've played music. You were in. I've seen old photos of you and your band back in the '60s, in the great era for music.
Yeah.
Everybody had a guitar, and everybody had a band out of their garage, or everybody.
Jerry Alexander and I got together, and we started one of the first.
Who else played with you? Who were some of those guys? I know Jerry Alexander played bass. And do you remember some of those guys?
There was a lot of guys that just came in and out, but Jerry was the first. We started a band, called it Monday's Losers. I think we thought that was cool or something.
Yeah.
But it was really negative. And then Bill Fletcher came along with his band, Brooks Trace, and these guys, and they called themselves the Optimistic Sunflower. So I thought, man, that's just
you can tell they're from the 60s.
But they were great guys.
Sunflower.
Dean Hughes, all of those. They were a great bunch of guys. I wish I could remember all of them,
but
it was fun playing music back in the days when Rolling Stones, some
Beatles,
of the best Beatles.
Yeah,
and we did the Elvis stuff.
Yeah,
anything rock and roll. But we were inspired by a man named Carlton Meeks. He had Carlton's Combo here in Caldwell County for years and played around all over the place.
Combo.
He's Dwight and Gary's dad.
Okay, well there you go.
He has a daughter. Her name won't quite come to me, but. No, he had a band around for years and years, and he just played all the time. But he'd come by our practice sessions sometimes and encourage us. You guys are good. We knew we wasn't. But he felt like we could get there if we kept working, and then for too long, Jerry started playing with Carlton because we didn't have a really stable band, and Carlton kept Jerry working. Another one of our drummer, Dee Dee Brown, was playing with Carlton too before we ever actually started our band together. Carlton was more or less a one-man show. He was the front man, but he didn't have the same backup musicians every time. He would call different guys. He gave a lot of guys that were just starting a chance to play, and he paid them. So that's what it takes, man. These kind of people come along and they make a difference and never know it.
And that's kind of been the theme of this interview, is that encouragement, that little spark that someone gives you that says, you know what, you need to continue.
Wakes you up.
Yeah, you need to continue this.
It makes you think you're worth something.
Yeah,
and
we all need that.
Everybody, it's essential.
Yeah. And there's no doubt as we wrap up this interview today that Joe Clark, some other teachers, Miss Williams, as you were talking about, did that for you.
Oh yeah,
among scores of others, I'm sure along the way. But
I can take a little of the credit, but not much.
Well, you had it within you to reach out and go get it, and they brought it out. They recognized
everybody's got it. Your kids got it. Bring it out.
Yeah.
Your neighbors got it. Bring it out. Give everybody a chance to feel good about themselves.
Heck yeah.
And what's wrong with that?
Not a thing. I'm inspired already. I'm feeling good. It's Wednesday, and I'm ready to go now. I'm fired up. You
Well,
got me fired up.
I know you've been at the bank for years, and now you're here at the radio station. If you ever want to be a sign painter, come see me.
Well, and let's talk about that before we wrap up. How do folks get in touch with you if they need signs, murals, or something? Because you said you want to concentrate kind of on your murals right now.
Well, actually, I'm retired, Ty,
Okay.
but I work out of my house.
Okay.
We ran into some financial problems like a lot of people do, and I had to shut my business down, but I've always worked out of my house anyway,
Right.
most of the time, basement or something like that. So I live in that where the old corner grill was now on McGoodwin Street.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to call me for a sign, I get calls every day, but I don't do the vinyls anymore.
Right.
They were driving me crazy. And anyway, I like to do the hand lettering, so I'm still actually starting to get some calls for that.
Well, good.
One this morning.
Well, good.
And a lot of people, I think, in Princeton now don't know about me. Yeah, I was probably more well known at one time than I am right now for the sign business. But some people think I'm not doing it, and I am, but I'm being a little more picky. I don't take every project that comes along. But if I think it's something that I can make money on and help my wife pay some bills, I'll take it.
Okay.
So I'm on Facebook. If
Okay.
anybody wants to friend me on Facebook, and I got a lot of pictures on there that
Yeah.
might interest them, I'll let them in.
Okay.
They might have to pass my test though.
That
They can't be perfect.
well, yeah, it sounds like everybody might get a passing grade because I don't know anybody that is. But
Well,
well,
everybody's welcome.
what a pleasure to talk to you and to hear your stories. I mean, I could go on and on this morning and talk to you. And folks, I encourage you to take a look at the at Freddie out here, the tiger that has been revamped on the side of our cab. You see Richie's handiwork all around town on these murals, and what a talent and somebody that has given back to this community for years. Can't thank you enough, and it's just a pleasure to have you in here today and appreciate what you do, and glad you're here in this town.
Thank you, Ty.
And-
You made my day.
Well, that's
I
what we
appreciate
all need.
it.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to wrap up this edition of Tiger Talk, and we really appreciate you being here with us. We had the pleasure of having Richie Mckinney, a Princeton treasure, really, an artist, and here in town, and so glad to have him in town. And thank you for joining us on Tiger Talk. It is 9:06. Have a good day, everybody.
Hancock's Neighborhood Market on Commerce Street in Cadiz is the place to shop.